Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest homework video. In this video we're looking at fractions, decimals and percentages, but really we're looking at how we can make mathematical connections, how we can link one thing that we know to another one, and this is the aiming higher version of the video. If you have a look at the fraction and percentage wall, you can see that each section within a line is the same size. So for example, those thirds are all the same size. However, they're often written in a different way. So say for example, if we have a look at the eighths column, we've got 12.5% and an eighth, and they're the same. Now for some fractions you can see quite directly the link. So for example, with 10% and a tenth, it's quite straightforward to see the link between the fraction and the decimal. But often that's quite rare. So if we're having a look at that example of an eighth and 12.5%, we've got to see how can we make a link between those two facts. And that's what this video is all about. Now, if we have a look at the decimal number line, we know that deca means 10. Decade, 10 years, decagon, 10 sides. Here, we've got this gap between 0 and 1 split into 10 sections, into decimals. And that's what the decimal system means, really. Fractions, of course, are different. It's about splitting a whole into a number of pieces. So, say, for example, if I split that whole into two pieces, each piece into two pieces, each piece is a piece of 0.5. Of course, if a half, I get a quarter, 0.25. But look how there's not an obvious relationship between the 0.25, or the 25% I could call it, and the number 4. Now that, of course, is because with fractions we're splitting based on the denominator, whereas in our decimal system we're splitting into 10, in our percentage system we're splitting into 100. Now, the link, of course, 25 and 4, well, 4 25s is 100. 0.5 and 2, well, 2 0.5s is 1, or 2 50% are 100. Now, of course, the beauty about maths is if you know one thing, you can often figure out other things just by making connections. Maths is often about just being able to make those connections. I know that a fifth is 0.2, because I know that 5 0.2s would make 1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1. I can use the fact that I know 1/5 is 0.2 to work out loads of other number facts as well. Pause the video and just mentally see if you can think of a few off the top of your head. You don't need to write these ones down in your book. And pause the video now. Let's have a look at some of the connections that I can make. So if I know that 1/5 is 0.2, then I know that 3/5 is 0.6, because it's 3 lots of 0.2. Similarly, I know that because 1/5 is 0.2, then 1/5 is 20%, because 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 100 split in 5 pieces. So if 1/5 is 20%, then 2/5 must be 40%. 2 lots of a fifth. And 3/5 is 20 add 20 add 20, 60%. Let's have a look at some slightly more abstract versions. So if the fifth is 0.2, 1 over 50 must be 0.02, because I multiply the denominator by 10, so that makes the decimal answer 10 times smaller. And so if 1/5 is 0.02, then it's an easy jump to figure 2/50ths. Sorry, 1/50th is 0.02, then 2/50ths must be 0.04. Similarly, if 1/5 is 0.2, if I times the numerator by 10, then I'd have to multiply my 0.2 by 10 as well, so 10/5 must be 2. And also, if I know that a fifth is 0.2, well, if I halve a fifth, I have a tenth, and so I'd have to halve my 0.2, 0.1. It's all just me making connections. Now, you have a go at this example. So we know that 1/4 is 0.25, so what else can you work out? Which of the fractions can you work out? Which of the percentages can you work out? Which of the decimals can you calculate? Try and have 5 examples in your book. I'll show you some afterwards as well. Your examples might well be different to mine. Okay, pause the video now and have a go. So you might have worked out, because you know 1/4 is 0.25, 3/4 must be 3 lots of 0.25, 0.75. Maybe you multiply the denominator by 10 to make it 1 over 40, so making the answer 10 times smaller, so it'd be 0.025. Maybe you found half of a quarter, which is an eighth, 0.125. Or perhaps it was some percentages, so you knew that a quarter is 25%, So you could work out then that 2/4, for example, or a half, must be double that, must be 50%, and so on. Now your next question is, what is 3/5 as a percentage? To give you a bit of a visual clue here, I've put 100 square down there. We know that percent means out of 100. So first of all, of course, you're going to have to work out what 1/5 is by splitting the 100 into 5 pieces. And then you'll be able to work out what 3/5 is as a percentage. Pause the video and have a go. So, to work out 1/5, of course, the first thing I need to do is that 100 and divide it by 5 equal pieces. I know that each piece must be a piece of 20. Of course, 5 lots of 20 would make 100. So 1/5 has got to be 20%. So to work out what 3/5 are, of course, I just need to have 3 lots of that 20%. It must be 60%. Now, for the next question, I want you to use your related fact knowledge. So, I want to know what 1/20th is as a decimal, and I'll be interested to see your workings. Pause the video, and have a go. Okay, so maybe here you knew that 1/10 is 0.1, and so you just needed to split that in half to make it 1/20th. And you made that 0.05. Or equally, you might have thought, well, I know that a half is 0.5, and then the connection that you made was thinking, well, 1/20, you can see there, I've times that by 10, the denominator, so I'm splitting it into 10 more pieces. So rather than being 0.5, it must be 0.05, and you've made that connection there. And here's your final question. See if you can work out what 2.75 is as a mixed fraction. I'm going to give you an example of a mixed fraction. 1 1/4. The mix being I've got a number and a fraction. Pause the video and have a go. And of course, to represent the 2, we just need to keep that 2. And then the 0.75, hopefully from earlier in the video, you've recognised the 3/4. 2.75 and 2 3/4 being equivalent. Well done. We look forward to seeing you in class where we can apply some of this learning.